Alright, how is everybody? Right, it's great to see you all again, right? So today, I think it's episode like 51, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be conducting an experiment, alright? Something came up during my first live stream and it retails to, it curtails towards like weight and stuff, like how much does a block weigh? Because we're dealing with trains. Trains need low centre of gravity, higher speeds around corners, don't want things toppling, and if you've been around for a while, you've seen me do that quite a bit. So I've decided to do a small experiment with this little pad here. Now, it's literally just some lightweight blocks, a battery to keep it powered, and a helm. If I jump on the helm, the bottom right of the screen, it will say 890 kilos, alright? So what we're going to do is we're going to start placing blocks and then seeing how much extra weight is going to get added to them. And I have a small notepad and pen here to make sure that I get the right amount. So first we'll try a light armor block. And now we'll see how much it went up by. Nothing. So I'll just note that down. Sweet Effie. That's an odd. I hope I'm doing this right. A heavy armor block. Does this weigh more? Yes, yes, it does. So that's 1002. I'll note that down. 1002 kgs. Next block we have is a beam block. Let's see if that. Why did the light block not add any weight? Did I miss something? Let me just do a wee quick check on that again. 890, 890. No, I didn't. That's strange. Anyway, no, a beam block. Let's see how much a beam block will weigh. That's exactly the same. Questions are going to be answered in a sec. Right, what's next? I've put scaffolding block. I need a... don't really want to say that word, but I may have to. A girder. Yeah, I know. Anyway, there it is. Let's see. Nothing. See, this all comes from the discussion in the chat during the live stream, because it was artificial mass blocks don't actually have an effect on planetary gravity, but I've always assumed that the components added to the block added weight and thus would help with the gravity. So let's see if we can add different things. And right now I'm already disappointed because some blocks are just not adding weight at all. So like this truss block that I'm trying here, it's got a lot of construction components in steel tubes, so we'll see if this adds weight. It does, it does, it does. But I'm not too sure about that because it's only 1061. And considering it takes up, what, is that 5 blocks of space? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks worth of space. And I only get, like, what, 71 kilos extra weight? Whereas a heavy armor block gave me 10, 5. Oh, well. Right, so that's... So 10 for the heavy armor block, so 10 kilos for a heavy armor block. Truss block is 70 kilos. Takes up 5 spaces, so 5. So the truss block is in fact heavier. Not too bad. Now let's see the other blocks I've no added yet to my list here. So we have blast door. I don't think that's going to be small, could I better put it on the list anyway, see if I can get it. What else did I have? I put the scaffolding block, which was Sweet FA. I'll just note that down. Artificial mass block. Probably no day bugger all either, maybe. And a floor block, one of the new ones. Right, so first we'll do the floor block. Let's see which ones. Big slabs, nah. Just a standard size floor block. Let's see, 8. That takes up 3x3, but we'll go with the small size one. So floor center. I suspect that's not going to be much. Oh, it's a wee bit, but it's too low. 941. Wait a minute. Right, scratch that. I missed out a number there. Right, so a heavy arm block's no 10, it's 110. 110 kilos. and the truss block is 170 kilos. So that's a bit more accurate there, because I just noticed this one saying 941. That's a wee reminder there. Right, so floor blocks, not as good. Does have a lot more components added to it. Let's see, blast doors. What one's got the highest component cost? They're all the same. Is this heavier? Yep, 990. So where did I put the thingy? Blast door. 990. Right, so that's 100 kilos in. So a heavy block is still more. That would be the cobalt part. Well, the metal grid part, but you get what I meant. Now the artificial mass block. Let's see. We7. This has got superconductors and gravity components. Let's see. Right. 1796. So that's 8, 9. It's been 910 kilos. Really? Not bad. So far, just the artificial mass block, just in itself, if I turn it off, because you know the way I waste excess power, remains exactly the same. So far, just the block on its own, even turned off, still adds weight to a grid. Now for a couple of little wild card efforts I put in just for the sake of it, is I want to see, that would be bigger, smallest one possible for a wheel, and a drill, because I'm curious about that. So place a wheel block, smallest possible effort, large steel tube, when you're ready base. There we go. 995. Still lower than a heavy armor block. Because I'm thinking if I need to add weight, I might as well just put a bunch of heavy armor blocks in instead of artificial mass blocks, but they seem to be doing better. Now for a single drill. Haha. So 1894. Yep. Right. So just looking at my piece of paper here, the drill that I've used here is the heaviest, but it takes up a lot of space. So we're talking about, what, 3x5 by 1? It's not very practical. The heaviest practical block that comes in is going to be the artificial mass block. Even just turned off, it still adds a lot of weight. And I'll just kind of did a quick math in my head, so I just whip out a calculator and just whack the numbers in. So what did I say it was? It was 1796 minus the initial weight of 890. So I get 906 kilos extra for an artificial mass block, even though it's not got any weight turned on, so it's no adding any like gravity to the grid, you know, like you would in space. So it's just for utility purpose and not its intended purpose. Coming in second place then should be the heavy armor block then, and I think no, that would be the truss blocks. I'm going to say the truss blocks because 1061 minus 890 leaves me 171 kilos, but it does take up 5 squares of space, and the heavy armor block doesn't really add much extra. Minus 890 is 112. 112. Did I type that in? Yeah, 112, 171. Yeah. So, for my experiment here, it would appear that yes, I've literally done this experiment and I've seen it now. The heaviest block that you can add that only takes up 1 by 1 by 1 small grid size is going to be an artificial mass block. If you don't have the components for it, I'm wondering. Let's see if it makes a difference now. This has just occurred to me. What if I don't... Right, I'll turn my builder units off. Right, let me do a little explanation here. My whole point in building these trains is I'm trying to build them with as minimal resource cost as possible, despite their monumental size. I've designed them like just an example here. A lot of it is done with steel, like steel component, steel plates, and there's very little things that require things like interior plate for the bulk of the exterior. It's all steel plates, so it's light armor grid blocks. Having said that though, usually you can get a lot of that from just mining stone. So all it would take is time to build it. There's no fancy materials that require gold or silver or platinum or anything like that. So even if you were like planetary bound, or you were doing a playthrough where resources were incredibly scarce and you only really had to rely on stone, then you'd be able to build, still be able to build something like this. This was my philosophy going forward when I built these trains. The introduction of needing to use the artificial mass blocks was more of a necessity during testing because the trains were a little wobbly and derailed quite a bit. As a consequence to that, I'm having to add 2 extra components to the list that require gold and cobalt. Now let's find out if I can get away with not needing that. So, because you can also get silicon for the computers from stone as well. So I'm going to remove the gravity components from my inventory and the superconductors, and now I'm going to weld up the block. So the only things missing is the 2 superconductors and the 1 gravity component. Will it alter the weight? And I'm going to grab my pen because I just chucked it to the side. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't. It does not affect the weight at all, not one bit, which means even if you don't have access to those items in order to complete the block, if it remains unbuilt like this, it will A, not be powered, so it won't draw any excess power. For example, like I'm using a modded block of deuterium reactors in order to power my trains right now. But if you're in a playthrough where you had to rely on batteries, solar power, things that are planetary bound, not uranium for uranium reactors, for example, or even hydrogen engine, you don't want to use excessive power as well, then these being turned off, that's already covered because you've not built them fully. You don't need gold for the superconductors either, so you should be good with artificial mass blocks. So my takeaway from today is the artificial mass blocks, although you might not have access to things like cobalt stuff, they will still add the required weight, and if they're turned off, if you've fully built them, they will not use excess power. But if you build them, you don't have cobalt, you don't have gold, but you still place them anyway, you will still gain the weight from the initial block starting point, so it will still be heavier, will add extra weight to your grid. And I need to add? I don't think so. I think we're good. I think going forward, I'll maybe add a few more. I'll briefly I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you what I mean, right? I've got my train set up here. I'll use spectator mode and I'll slip inside. So this cargo container box here has artificial mass blocks in the interior, right here. I'm thinking if I add maybe another layer or 2, and it should lower the centre of gravity down just enough, because my biggest problem is these things, when they're unladen, no ore, they want to topple because of the height. If I put more weight in the bottom, it will lower the centre of gravity down to the wheel set and be less likely to topple over. That way I won't need to have wraparound wheel sets. It can still all be done entirely with just mining stone, for example. I went of course and then mined a lot of iron here because it's my iron mine, but that was just necessity for quickness because I don't have all day, you know. Anyway, yeah, I'd say, yeah, I think I've explained that. I think we've done the experiment. Let me know in the comments if there's any other blocks I might have missed, because, well, I don't think I caught everything that I could think of. And I'll see if we maybe experiment a few different blocks. My criteria would be try and keep it to the 1 by 1 by 1 size. If you can find another block, it's like a 3 by 3 and would still fit in that space within some of the trains, then yeah, sure, let me know in the comments below. If you found this helpful as well, because, well, I certainly have. I needed the experiment as well myself. Yeah, let me know if you found it helpful as well. And a bit of a shorter one than my usual, and it's me speaking, not none of my sped up parts. But that will be in the next video. In the next video, I intend to do a little bit of mass construction and get things built, and I'll probably be there. You'll probably hear me tell you what I'm up to and all that stuff. So this is my new format going forward. Is I'll do a wee bit of me telling you what's happening, maybe a wee experiment such as this, and then maybe do a wee sped up part with some of the mass builds and then get back to you near the end. But anyway, thanks guys. If you came along, if you liked the video, please give me a like. If you didn't like the video, just press the little X in the top right corner and and maybe a subscribe if you've not subscribed, because that really makes me chuffed when I see the numbers going up. That's absolutely brilliant, and you guys are great out there, right? Thanks very much, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.